They made the alien servant girl sleep outside. Then the human gardener built her a palace. Zira had arrived on Earth as a refugee, her species fleeing a dying world. The human settlement had taken her in, but barely. They gave her work, endless, grueling work, in exchange for scraps of food and no shelter of her own. While other servants slept in the quarters beneath the manor house, Zira was made to sleep in the courtyard, exposed to rain and cold. The human said it was because her alien physiology made her unsuitable for enclosed spaces, but she understood the truth. It was contempt. Her skin, which shimmered with soft violet hues under the right light, was considered grotesque. Her three-fingered hands moved too quickly, unsettling the humans. Her eyes, large and reflective, seemed to unsettle them most of all. She was tolerated only because she worked harder than any human could, never complained, and asked for nothing. Every morning before dawn, Zira attended the estate's gardens. This was the only place no one bothered her. The plants didn't care about her appearance. They responded to her careful hands and the genuine affection she poured into her work. She had created something beautiful in those grounds. Flowers blooming in impossible colors, vegetables thriving in soil she had carefully amended, pathways lined with stones arranged in intricate patterns. That's where Thomas found her one morning. Thomas was the head gardener, a man of perhaps 60 years with weathered hands and kind eyes. He worked alongside her in the gardens, but they rarely spoke. Thomas seemed content in silence, letting the work do the talking. One day, however, he stopped what he was doing and simply watched her tend to a flowering vine. "You have a gift," he said quietly. Zira startled and used the compliments. She said nothing, continuing her work. "Why do they treat you so poorly?" Thomas asked. She didn't answer. What was there to say? This was how humans treated those they deemed different. That night, Zira slept in the courtyard as always, curled beneath a thin blanket. A storm rolled in, and she huddled against the stone wall, water streaming down her face. She didn't cry. Her people didn't have tears, but her entire body trembled with cold and resignation. The next morning, Thomas was waiting for her. Without explanation, he led her to the far corner of the gardens, beyond the manicured lawns where the untended land began. There, he had already begun construction. A framework of wood and stone rose from the earth like a promise. "Help me build," he said simply, and she did. For months, they worked together. Thomas had plans drawn on weathered parchment, a structure inspired by Zira's descriptions of her homeworld's architecture, combined with human building techniques. They used stone from the estate's boundaries and wood from fallen trees. Zira designed the interior, and Thomas brought her visions to life. The other servants mocked them. The master of the house ordered them to stop. But Thomas held firm, claiming he was simply improving the estate's landscape. Slowly, impossibly, a palace emerged from the wild garden. It was small by human standards, but vast compared to any shelter Zira had known. The walls curved like shells, embedded with stones that caught light and refracted it into rainbow patterns. The roof was open to the sky in places, allowing the rain and wind she loved to flow through. Inside, Thomas had crafted furniture from living wood, still growing, still alive. He had installed skylights positioned to catch the rare alignment of Earth's sun and moon that Zira had mentioned reminded her of her lost homeworld. When it was complete, Thomas handed her a key forged from iron and star silver, a metal his ancestors had brought from distant lands. "This is yours," he said. "Your home. No one can take it from you." Zira stood in the center of her palace, turning slowly, hardly believing it was real. For the first time since arriving on Earth, she had a place that was truly hers. More than that, she had someone who saw her not as a servant or an alien, but as a person worthy of beauty. "Why?" she asked Thomas, her voice barely a whisper. "Because," he said, smiling, "I've learned that the most valuable things in any garden aren't always the ones that fit conventional expectations. Sometimes the rarest, most beautiful things are those that dare to be different." Zira looked at the old gardener, and something shifted in her heart. She understood then that true kindness wasn't about grand gestures. It was about someone choosing to see your worth when the world insisted you had none.